What's up, everybody? Welcome into the pod at the Palace. Curtis Wilkerson and Scottie Bordelon with Natty State Sports coming to you after, drumroll please, a Razorback win.
At Texas A&M.
At Texas A&M. How about that? Arkansas 78, Texas A&M 71. The first win of the Eric Musselman era in Reed Arena. Boy, I got to be honest with you. I expected Arkansas maybe to play well, or maybe, you know, in the same vein that they did against Mississippi State. I definitely didn't expect them necessarily to get over the hump and win this game, especially with them being significantly shorthanded. But I got to tell you, they just look like the better team against Texas A&M for the second time this season. Good vibes have returned to the studio. I love it, Scotty.
Always good to sweep Texas A&M in the regular season, buddy.
And yeah, if you're gonna suck in the season, beat Texas A&M twice. That's what you got to do.
That was the for the non-ball knowers or non-ball readers. That was the title of the 4-point play that went out before the Texas A&M game. How to sweep the Aggies in the regular season, and we touched on Tremont Mark, check mark.
Welcome
Caleb
back.
Battle, check mark to a degree. You got to the line a lot.
It worked.
Hold your own on the glass. Feel like they did that. And then, you know, you just had to finish the thing out. Mm-hmm. And it got hairy a little bit at the
Naturally.
end in true Razorback fashion. But they held on thanks to some timely shot making and Mekhi Mitchell playing like a first-team All-League guy of late.
No kidding. Yeah, he's been incredible. I actually... to peel back the curtain just a little bit, you know, in the offseason, and we talked about it before on the show, so we don't have to get too far into it, but, you know, like one of the reasons why Arkansas didn't go out and get big guys in the portal or whatever is because they thought that Mekhi Mitchell was the guy who could really step up, and one of the guys who told me that was Gus Arginal, who's well on his way to competing for a Division II national championship as a head coach at CSUSB.
Ball knower.
But I texted him after the game. And I just sent him eyeball emojis and Mekhi Mitchell, and he texted me back right before we started recording. He said he's back.
Yeah,
he has been just absolutely phenomenal, and it's a great place to start with this game because, man, you know, Texas A&M, you come into it, they dominated Arkansas on the offensive glass in the last game. They had 24, 25 second chance points, whatever it was. If Arkansas was going to have a chance to not win, but even compete, they were going to have to figure some things out in the paint against Texas A&M without Trevin Brazile, without Jalen Graham, as it turns out. So you needed a big game from a guy like Mekhi Mitchell. And, boy, 22 points, that's a career high, 13 rebounds. He was absolutely incredible. 10 and 12 from the free throw line, still stroking it up there from the stripe.
No joke.
He's playing... Like John said, and I can't disagree with him, he's playing at an all-league level right now, and he won't get it because of, you know, what he did for the beginning part of the season, but he's been incredible.
But the last 6 or 7 games, dude, he's been great. I mean, you go back to, the Kentucky game. He's been in double figures in 6 of the last 7 games, and he's set a career high in points for himself in back-to-back games. I didn't think that we would see that Mekhi, like, ever.
Who is
maybe?
this guy? Who the hell is this?
In that 7-game span, he also matched his career high against a Division I team at Missouri. And, you know, the crazy thing about that, I think the craziest thing about this, 19 at Missouri, 21 at Mississippi State, 22 at Texas A&M. Dude is like, you need to be able to count on guys on the road to compete. And that's what they've done in the Missouri game, in the Mississippi State game, the Texas A&M game. They competed. They've given themselves a chance to win, and Kai has been like a central figure in all of that. Like he's playing out of his mind. And on top of the double-double, which it almost seems like, you know, if he doesn't get a double-double, it's kind of like whatever. But I feel like he's on a nightly basis, you can almost count on him to go and get that. And then tonight he gave you 4 blocks too. So he's got 6 blocks. And 2 steals in his last 2 games. I mean, he's not just scoring and rebounding; he's doing some other big man things. And like early, I feel like early last year, I remember at least asking Eric about it. I may have written about it, but Kai's one of those guys who's got really active hands. Is a big guy, not just in terms of shot blocking, but can poke balls away, initiate breaks, all that kind of stuff. So he's giving you a little bit of everything. It's really been fun to watch.
Yeah, it really has been a lot of fun to watch, and kudos to him, man. You mentioned the stuff on the road, and he's just, Kai is such an emotional player, and it's not always in a good way. That's been really impressive, and maybe a sign of some improved maturity that he's been able to collect himself and deliver on the road the way he has. And we were sitting there doing the live stream at Flyway tonight, and Ellis brought up a good point. He said it before, like, it's wild that this team is really relying on Mekhi Mitchell to have big nights. Joke. But down the stretch in this game when things were getting a little bit hairy, like you alluded to, we're thinking about it, and it's like, they just got to get the ball to Kai, man. Even when they were getting pressed in this game, which is still just it continues to be the damn twilight zone. Arkansas trying to inbound the ball late in games against a press. But Mekhi got the ball at one time. We're like, don't give it up, dude. Like, just get fouled and get to the free throw line, because I can't really think of anybody better to have there right now.
Yeah, I think he's like a perfect guy to have in the game in those situations, because he's your most physical, big, frontline guy. And he can set a pick as well as anybody. Like, if you need a good pick, you're probably going to him. And that's kind of what you need in those scenarios to free a guard up or whatever. But he's a guy that can set a pick and then turn and face.
Yeah.
And you just throw the ball up, 8 feet, 9 feet up in the air, and he's going to go get it. Strong hands. And all of a sudden, he's shooting 82.6% at the free throw line in conference play, which is just
dude,
unbelievable. Like,
that's incredible, man.
Like, if an opponent gets a tech now, I don't care if Arkansas, like, you got to find a way to get Kai to the line.
Yeah.
Like, that's almost sure offense for you right now.
It's cash, man. 10 to 12 in this game. I mean.
Yeah. I mean, I think I would venture to say that's a career high in free throw attempts. And actually, he matched it. In his third season in college, he was 2 of 12 at the free throw line against George Washington tonight. As part of his 22-point night, he went 10 for 12.
It tells you everything you need to know about the improvement he's made. Like, when Arkansas signed him last year, he was a 50% free throw shooter for his career.
He was 69% in the SEC play last year.
Yeah, and he improved last year. 69% in SEC play. I know he wasn't that high for the entire season, so he just continues to get better. And it's good to see him playing, good ball towards the end of his college career. And it was kind of a microcosm of, I think, the reason why Arkansas was able to do what they did against A&M tonight. You knew that rebounding was going to be an issue. Arkansas shorthanded in the front court. They struggled so much against Mississippi State with that power forward spot. Cam Matthews hit him with a double-double. They had a hard time there. And listen, Anderson Garcia, friend of the Natty State Sports Transfer Portal Big Board, did his thing. He had 15 rebounds in this game from that power forward spot.
That was the best money on Saracen tonight.
Oh, that's easy money. Yeah,
it was 10.5.
Absolutely easy money. Arkansas loses on the offensive glass 20-11. So A&M actually grabbed an extra offensive rebound from what they did in Fayetteville a few weeks ago. But Arkansas wasn't punished by that. They really were strong and matched their physicality in the paint. And you look at second chance points, which if you get offensive rebounds and any points you score are second chance points, Arkansas actually won that 19-7. So Arkansas gets 11 offensive rebounds, turns into 19 points. Texas A&M gets 20 offensive rebounds. They only get 7 out of it. And that's the difference in the game, man.
That's one of the craziest stats of the night.
Makes no sense, but I love it.
You're looking at the box score, and Texas A&M was 14 of 40 on twos.
Man.
This is 2 games removed from Tennessee, and I get Tennessee and Texas A&M are not on the same tier in terms of, like, contenders or, teams that you're, taking seriously.
Mm-hmm.
But Tennessee the other day when they were in Fayetteville, 68.3% on twos. Like, that was the highest two-point field goal percentage that had been allowed under Eric at Arkansas. And then Texas A&M, a team that, can beat you up on the interior, 35%. That's I mean, Arkansas did everything or had everything that you need to have, like, the recipe to win at Texas A&M in Reed Arena in a place that you hadn't won in half a decade. I mean, that's how you do it. Like, how do you think Arkansas, I'll throw this to you, how did Arkansas only give up 7 second chance points on 20 offensive boards? Like, is that verticality? Is it just, I don't even know the second option because I feel like it is verticality. But like, what did you see there? Like, how do they only limit them to 7?
Yeah, I mean,
points?
It was definitely a good amount of verticality there, and I just thought, they limited tip ins, which is something A&M gets a lot, and so they were having to come down and secure the board and then go back up. And Arkansas was just there to contest. I also thought they did a nice job of swarming when they gave up offensive rebounds, which meant a lot of times A&M was forced to then kick it out and maybe get back into a set or settle for a 3-point jump shot, which is something they don't do well. So both of those I thought were big factors in the game. And yeah, just toughness and grit and just playing harder and challenging some of those shots around the basket. I thought it made all the difference in the world for this team. So yeah, I mean, kudos to them for really kind of grinding out in the paint because again, like they were undersized and shorthanded, and they came in and I thought just really took it to Texas A&M. And quite honestly, like to me, Arkansas left no doubt that I think they're just a better team than Texas A&M is, and maybe that's because it's a matchup thing. In years past, Arkansas has been really good. Texas A&M not so much, but they've been a really hard matchup for the Hogs.
Yeah,
maybe that's the situation this year. But man, I mean, for an A&M team who is kind of fighting for their NCAA tournament lives, playing at home, coming off a 2-game losing streak, like there's no better scenario for them to be more motivated to have a good performance. And Arkansas they just took it to them and they just outplayed them. So kudos to Muss and the guys for being ready to play and going out there and executing, man. I was really impressed.
We've talked several times about what's Arkansas got to lose at this point. Just go balls to the wall, play the spoiler. And I feel like that's exactly what Arkansas did tonight. You know what I mean? Like, you look at Joe Lenardi's latest bracket projection before the game, and I believe he had Texas A&M on the last 4 buys.
Yeah.
And so that's a team that, you're in the field at that point. Now, what it does to Texas A&M after this game, we'll have to see, because there were games, obviously after Texas A&M Arkansas, that could, shuffle up the NCAA tournament picture a little bit anyway. But I think Arkansas did what it's got to do at this point in the year, like show some pride, show some toughness. I was listening on the way back from Flyway, I was listening to Eric's post game, and he was talking about, the Razorbacks' competitive spirit was really good.
Yeah.
That's been the case the last 2 games. And he said he thinks that some of these guys, especially the guys that are playing more at this stage of the season, they're starting to get it. Mm-hmm. Now, it's 26 games into the year.
Too little, too late, but it's
too
nice.
little, too late, but it is nice to see, these guys, they stacked competitive performances on top of each other. And Eric said something to me that really struck me. He was like, after the Mississippi State loss, he was like, you can be disappointed in a loss, but you can still be really proud of a team's performance in a loss. Mm-hmm. Like, you can be proud. Like, you can still not be happy, but you can be proud with the way that they fought. They carried that into another game. And, Curtis, we've been at the forefront of saying that these dudes have had the hardest time imaginable putting back-to-back games together. They did it on the road, and I think that's pretty encouraging, especially in a couple places that this program's had, at least in modern history, very little success, playing in.
Yeah.
So I'm optimistic going into the weekend. You got Missouri on the weekend at home.
Yeah,
you should beat them.
No, absolutely.
So you should exit the weekend and go into next week feeling pretty good about stacking 3 straight solid performances together, assuming that they, still bring it on Saturday, because Missouri played Tennessee pretty tough tonight.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Impressive stuff. It was nice to see Tremont Mark get back on track a little bit.
No doubt.
One thing Muss did say that I don't necessarily agree with was that his shot selection was incredible or sensational or perfect or fantastic.
They were, because they went in.
Whatever adjective you want to say there, boy, he was letting some tough ones fly. But here's the deal. He was making them.
Yeah, they went in.
And that's the thing about Tremont Mark, and we talked about it a little bit on the live stream, against Mississippi State, down the stretch there, Arkansas had a chance to win. Nobody wanted to take the shot. Like, who was the alpha? Who was going to step up and knock those down? And so whether it's a good shot or not, Tremont Mark's a guy that's willing to do that. And there are a lot of guys in this world, on this planet, in this sport that are willing to do that, but there are only a finite amount who are actually able to step up and make it.
No doubt.
And Tremont Mark is a guy who can really step up and knock those down. And, man, to double down against Texas A&M, he had 35 in that game in Fayetteville and kind of matched Wade Taylor's crazy performance blow for blow and then got the game winner there. And it was another situation where I didn't think Mark looked very good at all in the first half. In the second half, man, he just got on one of those heaters, and it was actually one of those games where sometimes, man, Mark really gets going and he starts cooking, but you're like, I don't know if this is the best thing for Arkansas and their offense right now, and it's a little bit sluggish. They wind up losing the game, but it worked, I thought, in this game, and he was knocking down some huge shots, and quite frankly, Arkansas wouldn't have won this game without him. And you look up at the end of the night, and despite some of the tough ones and the contested ones he was taking, 26 points. He was 50% from the field, 2 of 3 from 3, 8 of 10 from the free throw line, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. I mean, hell of a game.
Bro, I'm gonna be real honest. The 5 assists stands out more than anything else.
He was giving it up. That's unreal. Yeah,
I did not realize that. There was a prop on Saracen where you could get Tremont Mark under 1.5 assists at plus 140. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
And then, I'm like, I noticed T-Mark, he dished an assist. I think it was to Mackay. And I'm like, how many assists is that for T-Mark? Is that like his first or his second? And then I think you looked at the stat broadcast and was like, he's got 4. And so he just quietly does these things. 2 of 3 from 3. Really like that. It was another night where Arkansas didn't really shoot it well from 3. The volume wasn't there.
Yeah,
probably
4 of 15.
I mean, I would guess that is very, very, very on purpose. The volume wasn't there. Davenport got him up. I mean, that's
he did.
But that's what he's in the game to do, right? Like you kind of you give him the green light because he can knock down shots. Like the first 3 of the game, he knocked it down, and then that shot right there gives him the confidence to knock down the second shot, that pull up jumper that kind of kept Arkansas floating early. But yeah, T-Mark was, you nailed it in the 4-point play. He needed to get back to being the alpha dog, and he was that, even though several of the shots that he hit were probably with his heels on the 3-point line.
Yeah, he's good at that.
They went in, so you just move on.
Tip of the cap, you knocked him down.
Absolutely.
And how about, Arkansas, the foul differential was on the wrong side for Arkansas. What was it, 10-1 at one point?
Yes.
In the second half of this game, but you look up at the end of the night, and Texas A&M shot 39 free throws, which is a lot, but Arkansas shot 34, so they were able to get back to business and get to the line, which is nice, because we were sitting there at one point in the second half going, man, Muss is going to tee off on this after the game, especially after Mississippi State, but it evened out well, and they did a nice job of getting aggressive and getting to the stripe. And I think one guy, we talked about Mitchell, 10 of 12 from the line, Mark, 8 of 10 from the line. But one guy who had just a classic JD Notte-esque performance that you wrote about in the 4-point play was Caleb Battle. Finishes the game with 15 points, 3 of 15 from the field. But hey, 9 of 10 from the free throw line. So he on a night where he wasn't making shots, he was able to get to the line and convert. Yeah. And that takes me back to November and December Caleb Battle, because there were some times where he wasn't knocking down shots, but you knew he would get to the stripe and still make an impact in the scoring column.
Yeah, no doubt. Like I think he was 3 of 12 on twos a couple of days after he went 7 of 9.
I had to redo the math.
It was like, but I love that he didn't lose his aggressiveness, because when he loses his aggressiveness, Arkansas's offense isn't the same. It's just not. Yeah. And that probably leads to him pitching the ball to guys that are less capable of going and getting their own, or less capable of getting to the free throw line, whatever. But I wrote in the 4-point play, I said, on the road, if you want to compete, you've got to have shot makers on the floor. So tonight that was T-Mark. And then you've got to have guys who are high volume free throw attempt guys, which Eric's always going to have those on the floor. And you had 3 of them tonight, and KB was one of them. So hopefully that keeps his confidence high. That even though his the interior shot wasn't working, he was 0 of 3 from 3, but he was still able to get to the line, see the ball go through the rim. That's really important. He had 3 guys take 10+ free throws. Yeah, Eric's never going to complain about that.
No, you take that, man, for sure.
I don't think he's ever going to complain about that on the road.
And then, it's also a game where you have a no-show from Devo Davis, who had no points and looks like no rebounds and no assists and 2 turnovers. And he only played 7 minutes. And he was also dealing with some foul trouble. And so that takes a little bit away from you. But, you had a guy who I think stepped up and provided some good minutes for you in friend of the program, Layden Blocker. Nice game for the freshman on the road, man. Yeah, he was tremendous. He, if I remember correctly, he led the team in plus minus, played 23 minutes in this game, and it was nothing crazy. I mean, he had 5 points, 3 boards, a couple assists, hit his first career 3-pointer. He's off the schneid. Okay, so what is he, 1 of 12 or 1 of 13 now? Whatever. He made one, and so that was nice to see, but...
1 for 13.
More than anything, something that doesn't show up on the box score for him. He did a hell of a job defending Wade Taylor, man. I mean, absolutely clamping that dude down.
Yep.
And that is a tough cover for anyone in the country, especially a freshman. So, yeah, I mean, kudos to Blocker. I thought he was great.
Yeah, he was really good. He had a block, 2 steals. And then, not to get too basketball guy on you, but like stuff that doesn't show up in the box score, diving on the floor for loose balls and pitching it to guys to, kickstart a fast break, transition. I mean, Layden was really good. I think the only gripe that you have is the fouls. Like he's a high foul guy. Like that's kind of the deal. But gives you 5 big points, knocked down a 3, like you said, had a couple of assists, got on the offensive. Like he had 2 offensive rebounds. I mean, he's second on the team in offensive rebounds to Mekhi Mitchell. That's kind of like every now and then I'll throw some SEC games only trivia at you, and I'll be like, who are the top 3 in offensive rebounds? And it's like Kai and another big, and then T-Mark, and then it's Layden Blocker.
Yeah.
He's on the glass. He finds a way to go and grab you misses and give you chances for second chance points. He was really good. So shout out to the friend of the program.
Yeah. And Arkansas has done a really good job, in both games against Tyrese Radford. They did in this one as well. And he wound up with 12 points, but he was 5 of 16 from the field. He had 8 rebounds, but he got, I think, most of those points, it felt like late, just kind of getting to the rim and making some shots. But he really struggled a majority of the game. But, man, the job they did on Wade Taylor also. I mean, this dude went for 41 points. Was it 41 or 42? It doesn't matter.
41.
41 points in Bud Walton Arena. And he took 32 damn shots in that game, which it's just... I still can't wrap my head around that. I looked at the box score before the game today, and he was 13 of 32, and I was like, dang, man, he was getting them up. But again, in this game, like 3 of 12, held him to 11 points. Now, he did have 9 assists, which is good, but 4 turnovers in the game. That's not a winning recipe for Texas A&M. And I thought Arkansas did a great job making some adjustments and making him uncomfortable and just keeping him out of a rhythm, because obviously he's shown that he's a dude who can bury you in a hurry.
No doubt. Like, I think you take the... him having 9 assists over him. Because I feel like if he, instead of giving up the ball in those moments, and instead he throws the ball toward the rim and the shot goes in, that probably gets him going more than setting his guys up. Not to say that he's a selfish player, but I think that's true for. It would be Caleb Battle would be the same way. He probably gets up more for knocking down a jump shot than he is setting up his teammate. You know what I mean? So I think Arkansas did a great job on him and Tyrese Radford. Like, those dudes had 23 points, and they were 8 of 28 from the field.
That'll win you a game.
Combined. That's how you beat Texas A&M on the road. So, like, you look at the box, Wade Taylor made 13 shots in the game at Arkansas. Tonight he had 11 points.
Yeah.
Like, that's really good. Jace Carter, I feel like Arkansas did a really good job tonight of turning Wade Taylor into a facilitator. Mm-hmm. Like, obviously he's going to get his shots up. He's really good at like those impromptu threes where he's like, I'm dribbling it, and then the next thing, before he even thinks about it, he just throws a shot up, and he can get cooking that way. But they turned him kind of more into a facilitator, and just let Jace Carter got 14, and Henry Coleman got 12, and Anderson Garcia got 8. You're not having Wade Taylor go for 30, and so I think that's a win.
Right.
I think it's when you turn him a facilitator instead of one of the league's best scorers. That's good stuff.
Yeah. And shout out to Arkansas for, quite possibly ruining Texas A&M's NCAA tournament chances. And that's not an exaggeration. Like, that knocked them out of this thing, and they're going to have some work to do to get back into it. And I think that just goes to show you, and Muss said after the game, it's, this is signs of a team that's getting better and improving. Like we said, it's a great win for Arkansas, but it's too little too late, man. And so, like whatever, like you hope you're playing your best ball, go into the conference tournament, you give yourself a shot, whatever. But in terms of that large bid we're speaking about, but I think it says something maybe about the character of this team, which, full disclosure, has been in question throughout the course of the year with all those things that Muss loves to talk about: energy and effort and enthusiasm. Are they connected? Do they like each other? Whatever. But they haven't let go of the rope. And in a time where you don't necessarily have a lot to play for other than pride or being the spoiler, to see them kind of respond the way they have in what's a really, really tough road trip after just getting your doors blown off at home by Tennessee. I love to see it, man. I think it's really encouraging. And, will it parlay into anything else? I don't know, but it's good to see that this team just hasn't completely quit. It makes you feel a little bit better about, the way things might look moving forward.
For sure. And now you come off that 2-game road swing and you've got 2 games at home that you should handle your business as long as you
would certainly think so.
You have to do a little bit more than show up, obviously, because this, this Vanderbilt team that they've got in a couple of games, just knocked off Texas A&M.
Yeah.
And they're capable of, board boy Tyron Lawrence, like he can fill it up in a minute. Board boy Tamar Bates on the other side, he can give you fits too.
He's done it once, yeah.
You feel really good going into these next 2 games, and then you look at your final 5 games, 3 of them are at home, and then Kentucky just plays better away from home. Mm-hmm. And the players are even saying it themselves. Like I follow some Kentucky beat writers, and they're like, this team just kind of like rallies around itself more so on the road than at home. Go throw a haymaker. Like try to land a haymaker at Kentucky and just see what happens. Like who knows what that winds up, turning into. But I think you're playing for SEC tournament seeding, or you're trying to at least. You're trying to stay out of Wednesday night sadness.
Trying hard, man.
Yeah, really trying hard. And I think trying hard is helping these guys. They're taking steps in the right direction to get there. Who knows if they will? Right. Because there's some ground to make up, especially since LSU won at South Carolina last week.
Yeah, what a nut punch, man. Like, why'd they have to go and do that?
That takes a little bit of wind out of your sails.
We just start giving the Gamecocks some love, and then they go mess around and lose to LSU at home.
Yeah. I think every now and then you just have one of those games,
Yeah, and so, Arkansas finds himself a game back from LSU. The main problem there is, and Arkansas's got, like you mentioned, they've got some winnable games here down the stretch. Missouri, Vanderbilt, LSU all at home. See what happens on the road. Kentucky, the last game there is Alabama, which is going to be a tough one, it goes without saying.
It'll be a win if you keep them under 100.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so you've got an opportunity to maybe make up some ground. The issue is with LSU is their schedule is just light as could possibly be down the stretch. I mean, they play essentially everyone at the bottom of the conference plus Mississippi State to close out the year. They got Kentucky up next. I guess that game is probably on Wednesday, but they've got a lot of winnable games there too. So it's a non-negotiable for Arkansas to win that game over LSU at home. You can't slip up really at any of these games at home, but they've got to pass. Right now they're sitting in 12th place. They've got a decent cushion over Vanderbilt and over Missouri, but you got to pass Georgia and LSU. Like that's how you avoid playing on Wednesday. Mathematically, it's still possible. It's not crazy. It's not out of the realm of something that could happen, but it's gonna be tough. And I haven't looked at Georgia's schedule, but LSU is the one that really stands out to me. That's going to be tricky, just given the way that
Georgia's got Vandy on Wednesday, Auburn at home, LSU on the road, A&M and Ole Miss at home, and then Auburn on the road to close it out.
Yeah, so that could be a team that you could pass there.
I think it's always good. It's always good if the team you got a team ahead of you that has to play Auburn twice.
Yeah, that makes you feel good.
Yeah, that's pretty,
especially
pretty
when
solid.
you've got Kentucky and Rupp and Alabama and Tuscaloosa. So that's beneficial. So we'll see what happens there. Arkansas now is up to 13-13. So back to 500, 4-9 in conference. Obviously, that's not where you want to be. But a chance to make up a little bit of ground there. But, at the very least, I think it would be nice to see, Arkansas, bare minimum, hold serve at home.
Yeah,
kind of ensure yourself to finish over 500 for the regular season and see where you're at, going into the SEC
the team
tournament.
that we've seen the last couple outings, can hold serve at home.
Yep.
And they can give maybe Kentucky and Alabama some fits. Like, especially if Mekhi Mitchell's playing the way that he is.
Yeah.
Like, he gives you, I don't want to say he gives you a chance, but in a front court that's wounded.
Right.
You know what I mean? And, like, he's just been playing outside of his mind. And then maybe tonight, or maybe, this game was, the one that, gives T-Mark, puts T-Mark, in a better place, in a better mental space. I think KB coming along with his aggressiveness, getting to the line, seeing some shots go down, I just think that changes a lot of things.
Yeah.
That gives you a nice secondary scoring punch in the backcourt. And I think that you can go into games expecting certain benchmarks from Kai. Like, not to put too much on him, but I think that I think he's playing at that level right now, where you can just kind of go into games expecting to see certain things. And right now, it's not a surprise at all to me to see him go for a double-double with, handful of blocks. It's just not.
Yeah, and I think, the thing that gives me a little bit more optimism maybe than I have in the past, and listen, it wouldn't surprise me at all. I don't expect this to happen. Don't get me wrong, but it wouldn't surprise me if Arkansas went and laid an egg Saturday and lost to freaking Missouri at home, like with this team. That would not surprise me one bit. But what gives me a little bit more optimism that they might be turning a corner just in terms of playing better consistently is what they're doing on the defensive end. Like, Mississippi State and Texas A&M are no offensive juggernauts by any means, but the way this team has kind of become connected on the defensive end of the floor and the way they've guarded the last couple games in road environments they've traditionally struggled in, that makes me feel pretty good about the possibilities, especially against some of these lighter teams on the schedule. And, like, you go on the road against Kentucky, and that's a high-octane offense, but you've already defended them really well once. And maybe you're playing a little bit better now or starting to figure some things out late in the season. And so do I expect you to hold Kentucky to, 63 points or whatever again when you go to Rupp?
Absolutely
no,
not.
but can you guard them enough to stay in the game? Sure. And then with Alabama, I just don't think it matters when you play Bama. To me, it's those guys are going to shoot 43s, or are they going to make a bunch of them or not? And so,
yeah, I mean, that's how they hung 100 on Texas A&M. They took 40 plus threes and made 18 of them.
They're going to chuck them whether you're contesting them or not. And so, I mean, how many are they going to make? Then can you clean up on the glass or whatever? And one thing I think we know about any Eric Musselman coach team, whether they're playing well or not, like, they'll be fully prepared and motivated to play against NATO's in Alabama.
I'm prematurely excited about Mekhi Mitchell versus Grant Nelson.
Oh, yeah. Oh, dude. I can't wait for that.
I'm way, 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 way ahead of schedule here.
It's okay to look ahead.
You got 4 games between now and then, but that has the potential to be pretty fun. I think he could get a little chippy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, could Arkansas look, this has been a tough season. At the bare minimum, can we get the few days of excitement going into the SEC tournament of going, boy, this is a 10 seed that you don't want to see in Nashville,
Yeah.
Oh, here's a dark horse. This is a double-digit seed that could make a run.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Get Jimmy Dykes going a little bit, or Pat Bradley, the shooter, talking about it.
Yeah.
I mean, just give us something.
I think I'm longing for that.
Yeah.
Because I remember after the Tennessee game, I go home, I'm wired, I can't go to sleep. I flip on SEC Now, and they show the Arkansas-Tennessee highlights, and they don't talk about Arkansas for a second. It's all about Dalton Connect, Arkansas or Tennessee losing by 29, or Tennessee winning by 29 on the road.
Yeah, Jonas Adu giving birth on Nolan Richardson floor. Shout out to Jonas Adu and Josh Hubbard for getting SEC Player of the Week and Freshman of the Week because they played Arkansas.
Yeah, no kidding. But it was all about Tennessee after Arkansas just gets blasted on its own floor. It's almost like Arkansas is an afterthought. Just give people a reason to mention you every now and then.
Yeah, man, sign me up for that for sure. And I think it would. I think it would help this team, and maybe we'll talk about this, and then we'll wrap up and get out of here. I think it would obviously help this team to have a little bit more depth at their disposal. So maybe Keon Minifield can get his groin or hamstring or whatever it is figured out. Who knows what's going on with Jalen Graham's shoulder and what he can do with that.
Hopefully it's not as bad as his back was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because we didn't know if he had one for a while there. It turns out that he did. But I don't think that even if either one of those guys, come back and they're full go, and I'm kind of, I don't want to write off Trevor Brazile, but I don't know that I see a pathway for him to come back at this point. But
don't be expectant.
No. But I don't know if either one of those guys really factor that much into the plans, because I think you found something now, and it's something that we talked about with with John and Andrew during the live stream, like going into the Missouri game or whatever, like Makai's been playing so well, do you start him? Nope. I think you just keep doing exactly what you're doing with the rotation that you have, and damn it, I would ride with it the final 5 games that you have this season into the SEC tournament, because the one thing you haven't done is just found something that works and then stuck with it through thick and thin. And that means if they come out against Missouri and they're down 14-4 at the first media timeout, ride with those guys and see what you got. And I kind of think that's where I'm at with it, man.
Yeah. So Arkansas floored the same starting lineup against Mississippi State and Texas A&M. The first time Arkansas had floored the same starting lineup, I believe, since Missouri and LSU. And so it's going to take, just based on what we know from covering Eric, like it's going to take this team just going out and just not playing hard for an entire game and just being completely out of it.
Can
for
we
him
please
to
be past that?
To change some things in that starting lineup.
You're right.
Because I feel like that's about the only thing that'll keep.
Yep.
That'll be the only thing that makes Kai start. You know what I mean?
God, dude,
I'm firmly in the keep Kai on the bench, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like he's other than the Tennessee game where he just like 1 point, 1 board.
Right.
I mean, he's played great the last 7 games, so I wouldn't change anything.
No, he's been tremendous. I'm telling you right now, like if we have to come in here and record this pod one more time this season and discuss Arkansas not playing hard or not having competitive spirit, one of you is going to have to stop me from jumping out of the 6th floor window. Like, I can't take it. I can't do it again.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but the windows don't open.
I will jump through it. Like, I will Superman my way right through those windows. I will throw one of these chairs through it, and I'll follow it out the window. Please, for the love of God, like, the one thing you can control, maybe you can't make shots. Maybe you're confused defensively. Maybe you got a bunch of injuries, whatever. But the one thing you control is your effort and how hard you play and the pride you play with. And it's been so refreshing, man, the last week to just watch these guys and just see, and there's no question in your mind, like, dang, they really care. Like, these guys are really playing for each other. They want to win. They, have some pride. They've got some respect for the name across their jersey. All those things. And that's kind of what we talked about this entire season. Like, if you're losing a bunch of games, like if Arkansas was 13-13 right now, but it was like last year where like they've got some leads, but they've blown some big leads and they're losing all these one-possession games and stuff, and all that stinks. You'd still be frustrated, but you'd still be tuned in, and you'd still be watching, and you'd have more than 9,000 people in a game against a top 10 opponent like you had against Tennessee. The reason people have become disinterested is because the team has looked disinterested, and they've been getting their freaking doors blown off in all these contests.
Fans are going to match the energy that you have.
Exactly. They've got to be past that now, because I have a feeling that it's not going to be sold out against Missouri on Saturday, but I guarantee you, even though Missouri hasn't won a game since Nam at this point now, and Arkansas just went and won 1 game over a Texas A&M team, there will be more people in Bud Walton Arena on Saturday for Arkansas, Missouri than there were for Arkansas, Tennessee.
I just want to show people Missouri's schedule. Can you see that?
It was only slightly exaggerated.
Those are losses.
Have they won a game in 2024?
No.
There you go.
They have not.
There you go.
They're 0 for 24.
Yeah, they're 0 for 24.
They've won 1 game since December 3rd.
Yeah. Don't be that team.
Can you name their last win?
Was it a power conference opponent?
No.
Yikes. Wichita State.
They did beat Wichita State. That was the next win after their last one.
SEMO.
No.
Dang, who else did they play? I don't know.
UCA.
UCA. Yeah, I
So
wouldn't have gotten there.
two of Missouri's 8 wins this year are Arkansas schools.
How bad did they beat them?
Beat them 92-59. So
Okay,
they
so they got
smacked them
They
around
got
a little
'em.
bit.
Okay.
But yeah, that's 13 straight losses and 16 in their last 17 games. So
Yeah.
I mean, I think we like Tamar Bates. He might need to win him one.
Yeah.
As
Yeah,
much
he's
as I
gonna do
like
that.
him, he might need to go win him one.
Goodness gracious.
He might need
can't
to
lose
beat
the game.
Arkansas for him to stay on the portal
Right.
board.
Yeah. No kidding. Yeah.
I don't think we're in favor of that, though.
There's your motivation, Tamar. Come on. You want to stay on the board, beat the Hogs, dude.
How about you just go win at Florida instead and
Yeah,
leave Arkansas alone?
That's a more desirable outcome for sure. God, could you imagine? It would be the most Arkansas thing ever for this team to, start playing some encouraging basketball and be the one SEC win for just the worst Missouri team in modern era.
Yeah, it'd be rough.
This is like Kim Anderson levels of Missouri basketball right now. You just can't lose to him, man. Can't do it.
Before we get out of here, thoughts on Buzz Williams still doing a 3-piece suit? Dennis Gates also a very suited man. Why?
Jerry Stackhouse, also a very suited man.
Hey, but he's
about to get fired.
He always puts it on though.
He looks great.
He's always got it on. Buzz Williams is being brought down by the fact that he's got a funeral director looking guy that's on his bench who dresses just like him.
Shout out to Buzz
Looks
for
like he's
staying in
got
the
a pocket
same
watch.
outfit the entire game in
Yeah.
College Station. I'll give him credit for that because he did change.
I would have lost that prop bet.
Yeah. And here's the thing: I don't mind him being sharp dressed, but the whole like train conductor Monopoly man vest, I just can't get behind it. Like he's a monocle away from being,
Yeah.
the guy who's like, don't pass go, don't collect $200. So I don't know about that one. Dennis Gates,
He also have it on or no? To a much lesser degree than Stack.
Yeah, he's sharp dressed. He's a suit wearer. I was kind of buying into it the first year, but like I don't know, like you're 0-13 in the league now. Maybe you need to just put on a polo shirt, bro.
Yeah.
Put on a polo shirt, relax a little bit, and,
Just
and see if your guys
throw
are.
on the Q-zip and just
Be a
little bit more casual. Might help you out a little.
So I don't know, man, but this is again. It's only like the third time we've been able to say this, but it's nice to come in here and record after a Razorback win, even though the season has been a little bit of a mess. So we'll see what it looks like on Saturday, but we will be somewhere in Arlington, perhaps around Texas Live in one of the establishments for a pot at the Palace on Friday to kind of preview this Missouri game a little bit. And we might have a little bit of maybe a little surprise that we can dip in between now and that Friday episode. We'll see what happens.
I'm hopeful.
Yeah, so keep your fingers crossed and keep your eyes peeled about that one. We'll see if we got something special for you or not. But it's been a good night here in Fayetteville. Kind of wish I was in College Station to watch that, but being at Flyway is a hell of a consolation prize.
Yeah, not too bad. I'm never gonna turn down their pizza.
Love your shirt, by the way.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah, represent.
I had to get one before I walked out of the place.
I love it. All right, well, we're going to get out of here. It is late Tuesday night, and we got an early morning on Wednesday. But for Scottie Bordelon and Curtis Wilkerson with Natty State Sports, this has been the Pot at the Palace. Appreciate you guys for rocking with us despite the season being a mess. Always good to talk to you after a win, and hopefully we're doing it again soon. But regardless, we will catch you on Friday.